Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Stop, Look, and Listen. I'm your host, LeTroy Gardner. This week, we have a very special guest. We have the good sister, entertainment lawyer, consultant, professor, the founder of Creative Passport, Miss Amy Oraefo. Welcome to the show, Amy.
Thank you, LeTroy, for having me. You are awesome. Look, I need that intro every day. I'm telling you. Thank you.
All righty. Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. She's a friend of the show, friend of the family, the whole nine.
Yes,
Her and my wife go way back, and had an opportunity to catch up, and for us to meet for the first time about a month and a half ago, and you pretty much showed me the ropes. You told me about Nigerian culture because I had a recent trip there for the first time. What to expect.
Thank you for rapping with the beads and the native and up and down.
Of course,
I love it.
Of course. I was like, if I'm gonna have you on, I can't come half stepping.
Thank you. You made me step it up too. Check out these earrings. Look,
yeah, I love it. I love it. There's one more thing too. Are you you remember this?
I love it, Nigel. You know the nickname LeTroy. For all the people listening that are not familiar with the nickname for Nigeria is Naija. So if you ever hear a Nigerian or somebody who's been there saying it, they're talking about Nigeria. So Naija.
All right, so Amy has an amazing story, and we're going to delve into your journey coming from a trained dancer and getting into law, and why you chose entertainment law, and how you returned to Nigeria to make an impact. I think, to me, that's the biggest part of this conversation, and I'm looking forward to picking your brain on that. But just give us a biographical snapshot into your background, like how you you started out as a trained dancer. Yeah, tell us about that.
Yes, so I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. So it's always important to say this, LeTroy. I grew up, I'm first generation American. Both of my parents are Nigerian. We're from the Igbo tribe, if anybody's familiar with the various tribes in Nigeria. So that's always important to me because it shapes pretty much everything I do. So with that, I grew up in a family that loved music. I grew up on Fela Kuti records, King Sunny Ade. My parents had a palate for amazing music, but they had moments where they missed home, right? So they would play Fela Kuti records. I remember being 5 years old and hearing that. So which is something we'll talk about later, which is why I was able to identify that Afro beats wasn't going anywhere, because Afro beats with an S is a derivative of Afro beat, which was created by the great Fela Kuti. So that was, I heard these sounds, and fast forward maybe 30 years later, you started hearing some of the same sort of similar melodies. That's a derivative of music. So to answer your question, LeTroy, I came from a family who loves music, and I wasn't blessed with the talent to sing. So music was my first muse, and dance was the closest I can get to like expressing myself, right? If I had the vocal cords, God knows who to give what gifts to, right? Because I probably walk around singing my name. So but that was not my gift, right? So because of that, I fell in love with something. The way to creatively express myself was through dance. So I practiced and studied dance for 16 years, and I did that up until I was in college, tried out in after high school. This is all very important to my narrative. I didn't just stumble into being an entertainment attorney. No lawyers in my family, but I knew that I had to merge my two passions. So after high school, when I didn't get into the dance programs at 18, you feel like your world's going to crumble. But I'm like, hey, everybody's always told me I should be a lawyer because I'm the youngest of 5 kids, and I've had to argue my way through things and advocate for myself. So it was, let's explore this legal route. And in the back of my mind, LeTroy, I didn't have any lawyers to reference, but I was like, I loved advocacy, and I wanted to do it with just my creatives. That's as I affectionately call them, my clients, my creatives. So that's what I put in the back of my mind. Went to college and went to law school, knowing that somehow, I don't know all the answers, I leave those details to God, but I would become an entertainment attorney to just work with creatives. So here we are by the grace of God.
Okay, I love it. I love the story. You touched on something that I kind of figured was the case, and it's that you're first generation. Just talk about the challenges that poses, not only
Yeah.
for you, but like kind of helping your parents um, adjust to life over here, from life over in Nigeria.
Yeah, so a lot of it is interesting. Just being, maybe this is funny. Maybe my older siblings, the first tranche of the bunch that came, could say it's different because by the time I came, my parents, and this is something that I'm sure anybody who's been an immigrant or has been foreign to a land at one time, you just have to adapt, LeTroy. So by the time I could be of age and could think of everything, my parents had to figure it out because you're alone in a new country and they're the only two from their respective families to come to America. The majority of my family is still in Nigeria. So as I go back and forth these days, like I'm seeing a lot of my family in Nigeria. Or for anybody that knows about a lot about Nigerians, you have a lot of folks that live in London as well because Nigeria used to be a British colony. So when they were colonized, it was the Brits who colonized them. So you have a high concentration of Nigerians that now live in London or England. So I had most of my family in either Nigeria and London, and my siblings and parents and I were the only ones in America. So that made them have to adapt really fast, LeTroy, whatever that meant. So it just meant that by the time I came out the womb, and by the time I was old enough to remember, they were rolling with the punches. But they did. My parents, they are my superheroes. They did a phenomenal job of making my siblings and I feel as connected to our homeland that we had not been to at that time, right? Like we went to Nigeria as a whole family. If you all can imagine, it's very expensive to take an entire family overseas all the
Yeah.
time. So we only went as a family initially once when we were children. I was too young to remember, but my parents instilled it in our foods. I know you know already. Fufu, plantain, right? Like different
Yep.
dishes, one wine, like dishes like that, that like that connected them back to home. But guess what they had to eat? I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. We ate collard greens and fried chicken and candy yams and barbecue, right? So
Uh
fusing
huh.
those two cultures because my parents came and had us in North Carolina and being in the South as immigrants. So you see the duality of my cultures has always led me to be able to navigate and talk to and deal with anybody because I had dualities of culture in my home. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, and that was something I learned during my trip to Nigeria was just like how it's usually the youngest sibling that ends
Mhm.
up putting the rest of the family on their back and coming to America like Eddie Murphy, so to speak, and starting anew,
Yeah.
and the rest of the family is staying there and you know still trying to grind and make ends meet, and
Yeah.
the pressure there on the youngest sibling, because like when you think about it, especially in America, it's usually the older siblings that would have that pressure, and
Yeah. So
as
it's
far as
interesting.
Nigerians, it's the youngest. Yeah.
No, it's interesting. I will even tell you that gets granular. It depends on the tribe. So I know your
Hmm.
lovely wife, she's part of the Yoruba tribe, but we're Igbo. So for
Right.
us, yes, there's some fact to that, but then it could change because my mother's a middle child in her group. And then my
Hmm.
father, unfortunately, a few of his siblings had passed by the time he was an adult, but he basically was raised as the youngest to your point, and he did come over here. But so you see, even in one family, your example was accurate, but then there was an exception. My dad was the
Right.
youngest to come to America, but my mom was the middle child and the only one to come from America. You see, so you're
Uh-huh.
right, but then there's also a variation of things because my mom literally like I don't know if she ever knew. I probably have to ask her this question. If she ever knew she was coming to America, my dad did. So my dad came first, and then hustled here, worked hard, came back, and then married my mom, and then they came back together. So that's the story. Everybody has a different story of how their parents got here, and then had us, went to college in North Carolina,
Hmm.
and started having their kids, raised us by themselves. So you see how quickly you have to adapt, and then, like you said, going back home is a big deal because people like to think, I know you heard this when you're in Nigeria, they like to think everything's easy, specifically in America, and they don't know how hard people hustle sometimes. So
Yeah.
they want you to carry everything on your back, and you're like, you can't break your back for everyone, but you're trying, and everyone's trying in their own way. So it's unique, and I'm so glad you got to go back home and see what was that like for you. I'm sorry, I don't mean to turn the question
Nah,
flip. Like,
nah.
what was that like for you?
Let's have fun. Let's have fun with this.
Yeah.
Let's make this a nice, healthy back and forth.
Yeah.
Um, I went there with zero expectations whatsoever. I
Mm,
didn't want to, have any prejudice or feel like I was the entitled American. I just wanted to
yeah,
blend in. I wanted to just embrace the love and give love in return.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
of
yeah,
course, because of like health reasons, I couldn't eat,
yeah.
everything.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
I sampled what I could. We
Yeah.
we pretty much went somewhere every day,
Mm, yeah.
toured the area,
Mhm.
went to the zoo, went shopping a lot, had my
Yeah.
market experience. That's where I got
Yes.
got the necklace from.
So
And
look, were you in there getting in the trenches bargaining, or you have some other family
nah,
helping you?
we had negotiators,
Yes.
bartering on our behalf.
Yeah.
But
I love
yeah,
it.
I was able to get, I think, some Nike Dunks for $40. And here in
Where
America,
else would
they're
that
they're
happen?
like,
You know what I mean?
yeah, they're like $150 here in
Yeah.
America.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah, we just we went running one day. There's cows in the road. I mean,
Yeah,
it was just stuff
yeah,
that you on TV and in movies, and like you're actually experiencing it firsthand. And
yeah.
it's those are memories I'll never forget.
No, absolutely. And then that juxtaposition, because I know from what you explained to me, you were gone, so you went there, you went to what we would consider, we call back home as the village, right? But then if you'll talk
Right.
about experience, I know even if you didn't spend as much time as you wanted to, but in Lagos, the juxtaposition of there being 21 million people and that energy of
Hmm.
buildings and traffic and noise all the time. That's often the part that I think some people don't see on TV. Like they
Hmm.
see the optics, and it's okay to show that other stuff, but like show the full story that this is one of the biggest and most populated cities in the world, and that's Lagos. And it's like always energized. So there's that, and then there's solitude, right? When you go and you stay in the village, and you know there may not be street lights in certain places, and there's peace and serenity, and you can hear yourself think and talk. Versus going to a city where you hear horns all the time because millions
Yeah.
of people live there. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, that was a major adjustment as well. Just when
yeah,
we're, driving and like they're honking horns
yeah,
every 30 seconds
literally,
for everything, and there's like it's a two-lane road and there's four vehicles squeezing in the two lanes,
yeah, yeah,
and little kids are walking into the street selling
yeah.
you water and popcorn and peanuts. I was just
It's
like, wow,
like
this is
LeTroy. It's not for the faint of heart. It's the land of hustlers. Am I lying? Like even kids are
uh
hustling.
yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, I love it. Just like let's get into entertainment law.
Yes.
Just talk about the aspects of the field that excite you the most. I mean, you gave us the backstory as to blending your two passions of dance and in the legal field. So just talk about what excites you the most.
What excites me the most? A couple of things. I would say it is helping to lead people. Helping my creatives, as you hear me call them, um, leave impact and monetize, right? Because we want to
Hmm.
leave impact and they're not mutually exclusive. And you want to monetize, but let's be honest, we live in a world where we move around with money. Everybody likes to talk about doing things, but you got to move and have money. And when you have that money, it will help you kick the door down for other people behind you. So that is what excites me most, LeTroy. It's helping, seeing the light bulb go off and helping people who want to take it to the finish line leave impact and make some really good money from doing that. That's the goal, so that they can be a blessing to a
Hmm.
lot of other people.
Okay, so you work primarily with creatives over like large corporations or like record
So
labels.
yes, no, I work with creatives. So my niche is in music, the music industry and podcasting. So I work
Hmm.
with individuals who are music producers, songwriters, music artists, and then also podcasters. And I pause because some of my podcasters have turned into media companies and global presence. So I use that
Yeah.
calmly because they're and sparingly because they started out as podcasters and they've turned into literally like media empires different
Right.
companies. So yeah, that's how we got our start with there. I always tell people, find the one thing you're really, really, really good at and shine at that in the world. And I promise you will open doors for so many other things. And that's what some of those
Hmm.
people have
Yeah, and just to highlight one of them, Earn Your Leisure with Troy and
Yeah.
Rashad.
Yes.
Um, yeah, like it's just interesting the trajectory of their journey. Like school teacher, finance
Yep.
expert, how they
Yep.
came together, started putting out content. The
Yeah.
content was generating a huge following online. They turned that into releasing, snackable content for people to digest. That grows into a huge festival that takes
Yeah.
place in Atlanta every year. They're
Yeah.
traveling during the festival circuits like Afrotech,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, every year.
having some of the biggest Black entrepreneurs
Yeah.
featured on their show. They're doing content for Revolt.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's what you want to accomplish as a
Absolutely.
podcaster.
Absolutely. And it all started from podcasting. And LeTroy, let me say one thing that a lot of people don't know because I always have to use the platform to say this. So, yes, it's definitely Rashad Bilal, Troy Millens. And then there's a third owner of Earn Your Leisure that a lot of people don't see in the forefront because he's not talent. He's a mastermind in the background. His name is Michael McDonald. So, three of them own
Hmm.
Earn Your Leisure. And to your point, they brought their genius, all three of their respective genius together because Mike is a genius and a guru at marketing and anything you see with editing of the content, marketing the brand, Michael McDonald's behind it. So while the other two gentlemen bring their genius as a financial advisor and a teacher, and it shows up in their skill set and everything they're doing, you have this third partner that is bringing his marketing genius, right? So that's how they all grew up in Greenburgh, New York. They all grew up, I've been to their hometown with them before. And um, it's special. It's something you have to experience. They have a mural of them. It's like they come from this smaller town in New York, right outside of the city. But for them to be able to become a global brand and see this world and leave impact. Like I was in East Africa. I was in I learned how to properly say it. We in America have said Rwanda, but it's actually called Rwanda. When I was in Rwanda,
Uh-huh.
a few months ago, I was blown away when I was having some meetings with a couple of friends in the States, introduced me to some people in Kigali. And I'm talking, and they were asking me, do you mind sharing some of the people you work with in entertainment? And I mentioned Earn Your Leisure, knowing that they're a big brand, but you never know where it travels. And they start spazzing out. Y'all, I'm in East Africa, right? Like just to show you what global impact looks like. So they're like, oh my gosh, we've been following them. So to your point, it is still a bit surreal, but I'm not surprised. You never heard me say surprised because to meet them and know them is their work ethic is unmatched. It's insane,
Hmm.
So they are visionaries, and I'm blessed to have met them. Sort of at the beginning of the vision, and to watch all these things that they say are going to happen.
Right. So it's kind of like, as far as you being an entertainment lawyer, it's almost like you're also like an A&R person because you kind of have to see it before it happens.
I
What do
love
you
that. I'm
look
gonna steal
for?
that from you. I'm gonna steal that from you. I will call it. I would use words such as, by no means am I trying to be whatever, but your visionary we use. But I was like, it's a bit prophetic. The reason I say that, LeTroy, because I have to be so many years ahead. So thank you for saying that. I'm not
Yeah.
months ahead of things. I'm years, and I have to.
Hmm.
With a handful of talent I've been blessed to work with. So to your point, they were one. When they sat down and first talked to me, I felt how special they were. And this was before the hype. This was before any Breakfast Club. This was before iHeart deal. This was before anything. This was
Right.
just meeting them and hearing like where they want to go with this and seeing how they were a unit from their hometown. I was sold. And I literally remember you ask any of them, they'll tell you, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know I want to do it with y'all and we're going to do it together. And here we are almost 5 years later.
Right.
So, yeah.
All right. So, like, sifting through the millions of podcasters, the other creators out there, like, what is it? Like, what do you look for when you're seeking out that diamond in the rough?
Great question. It's vision, and even if you are not quite able to execute it all the way, because we're all one human being, right? We can do what we can do. It is having the vision and tenacity to invest in yourself to get there. And investment, you all, doesn't always have to just mean money. It means your time. Like some of the people that have been able to scale to such great success that I'm blessed to work with. they're all, their commonality is they never thought they could cheat consistency. I know you hear people say this, but I'm telling you, when you work with people who success is relative, whatever we think success means, but have some notoriety or have the public's attention, consistency. And you may say, what does that look like? It looks like, and everybody live your life, but it looks like them making sacrifices and doing things that aren't that fun. When people are out partying, when people are out spending their money different ways, they weren't. They were investing in things quietly. They were staying home, creating blueprints to these empires they wanted. That is the difference. Nobody's saying you can't go have fun, party, enjoy yourself. This life is meant to be lived, right? But also knowing to have discipline and sacrifice. And that is the common denominator. Consistency and the willingness to invest and make sacrifice is what I see as the difference. So that's what I look for. And nobody needs to talk to you longer than the initial conversation, LeTroy, for you to get it. And I'm telling you, and because where I am as an entertainment attorney, as a living, as a lawyer, any good lawyer, I like to think you have to be able to be an active listener and read body language and people. So I listen and look, and you're able to tell within one conversation. Some people are just really, really special. And even if somebody can't fully articulate it, you feel the fire. Because you relate with that when you talk to certain people, you leave feeling different than when you came. That's an indicator. Yeah.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the services you provide.
So my firm provides purely transactional services. What that means, you all, people come to me as a lawyer and be like, can you litigate this case? Can you go to court? I do not touch a courtroom. I have never, and nor do I want to. So I leave that for the people who do that. But I like to call myself a proactive and more of your fun attorney. So my creatives that have business deals with a respective record label, a brand deal, name, image, and likeness, we know is a huge thing, protecting that. People that have turned from, nothing's wrong with the term influencer, but like literally brand ambassadors, y'all. When people turn to that, they're making like actual 6-7 figure income from brands investing in themselves for deals. So representing people at that high level where literally they are making a livelihood and being a content creator. So it's about negotiating those various brand deals with Fortune 500, Fortune 1, Fortune 10 companies sometimes, right? Like just being the advocate on the artist and creative side, because these companies are great, don't get me wrong, but they are protecting their interest. Who is protecting your interest as an artist or creative? And that's what I'm here to do.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned NIL
Yeah.
with collegiate athletes. We've heard in the news recently, Angel Reese was talking about how her WNBA contract couldn't pay her rent in Chicago, but she was raking in millions of dollars as a collegiate athlete at LSU. There's this former quarterback at UNLV. He was promised a certain amount of money to enroll at UNLV, and he didn't get it for whatever reason. So he said he's no longer going to play, and as a result, he's going to transfer. It's like the Wild Wild West. So
It
like,
is. It is.
just talk about your involvement in that.
Like, so within more of the NIL's interest, and I'm glad we're touching this point, because I know some athletes, I don't deal with the athletes as much as the talent side on podcasting, music, because y'all, this language shows up in everything in entertainment. So again, I know how to do those deals because they're transferable skills, but within your NIL deals, you usually have agents that are dealing with that with the athletes. But I can speak to the fact that, Troy, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be a little confident and boast about my university. I went to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I'm a real Tar Heel, like born and bred in North Carolina, and went to Carolina. So I say that to say I grew up in a place where you had college athletes that operate at a high level, right? For God's sake, Michael Jordan went to the school, right? So we had national attention all the time. So they would breed athletes that would go to the NFL, NBA. I say that to say I remember being in college and this wasn't a thing, but people starting to advocate long time ago for athletes to get NIL deals. So let me just say this. I am happy that the athletes are starting to monetize from their gifts, because I was one of those people that came in skeptical of college, like, these athletes, you all, until you become friends with some of them and you see their schedules, they deserve to get compensated because these schools are making quite a bit of money off them. So what I say, to your point, is it is the Wild Wild West. When they pushed this legislation, I think they didn't quite I mean, maybe people may have not thought it through about how far this can go because there's not really a cap to what people are negotiating, LeTroy. How many people they're doing the deals with, like it, how long these terms are. So people are needing to have the proper representation. And some of these athletes, I don't know. Sometimes they may have their manager or a parent. I'll be honest with you, because some of these people are 16 years old. They're minors. They can't legally sign their own contracts. So it just, I'm confirming what you said. It is a bit of the wild, wild west, but some athletes are making so much more money prior to stepping in as a professional athlete. So some of them are starting to be like, do I really need this because I'm making NIL money, and they may go play overseas. It just depends. And whatever works best for anybody works. But some folks are 18, they become millionaires off an NIL deal.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Dr. Todd McClain provides periodontal and dental implant services in 2 convenient locations. They offer over a decade of experience treating patients, and appointments can even be scheduled in the evenings, weekends, or early mornings. Give them a call in Chapel Hill at 919-537-9774 or in Durham at 919-484-8338, or visit them online at gumsandimplants.org.
And I like that we're, bouncing back and forth between podcasting and now NIL, because I feel like there's a lot of similarities there. And it's like, it's a new frontier where when I'm around fellow podcasters going to conferences, even the major corporations like Spotify and Libsyn's, they're not 100% sure of the direction we're heading in. It's almost like we're learning on the fly. The same with NIL. And some colleges are hiring general managers to run their NIL programs. Like Adrian Wojnarowski, who used to be with ESPN, like their lead NBA, like he would do the breaking news and everything like that. His alma mater, St. Bonaventure, hired him away from ESPN to handle NIL. So it's like, I think the athletes, the kids, because
they pulled away.
But the kids are ahead of the colleges, of the schools when it comes to this. So like the next 5 or 10 years, these kids coming down the pipeline are really going to benefit because these schools haven't caught up yet.
They haven't, but you know what? They're starting to catch up because they're wanting to. I'm loosely hearing conversations and them wanting, to your point of bringing these GMs on. They want to figure out how they participate in the revenue, right? Because what they're saying in their defense is, but for giving this athlete a platform, they wouldn't be able to make these kinds of deals. When how many years before these programs purely capitalized off the athlete's name, image, and likeness, and they gave them nothing. So I think it's very interesting, but such is the world we live in. And you don't get what you don't ask for, is what I tell people as a negotiator and as a deal maker. So this is something that we're going to be sitting in the stands with our popcorn watching develop, to your point, because it's very new.
All right. So we touched on a lot of the evolution that's taking place in the entertainment industry. Just talk about how your role as an entertainment lawyer is going to change in the future, like whether it's digital content creation or streaming platforms.
Oh, wow. So I know we're in the age of AI, and some people fear it. They don't want to touch it. They ignore it. It's a couple of things, but like we have to embrace any new development, because I even use the music industry when it went from into the digital space. Remember, like, I know some of us are like, that happened over a decade ago. But remember, people fought it, specifically the labels, until, guess what? They just had to get married to it. Now everything we do is downloads and streams, right? LeTroy, remember we had CDs. We had 12-inch vinyls. I'm still a purist. I have a record player in my house because I love the scratch of a record. So it's like some people are still purists, but now it's harder for me to find a 12-inch vinyl than it is for me to go to Apple Music and download the song, right? So that's the way of the industry. Same thing for in the legal space or any industry. AI is here, you all. So it's a matter of, and I'm telling you and challenging myself, sometimes like we want to work and think smarter, not harder. So where I would, or lawyers would have to think of all of these things from our brain. Yes, you need to know, have the expertise, and always, you all disclaimer, please be competent in your role. Please know what you're actually doing, right? So, but when you use technology to amplify that, and that's what I feel like the legal profession, entertainment industry, and our whole world has to embrace. We are in the age of technology, and that is never going back. Like, that's where we are. So we have to embrace it. So that's how I think it's going to ebb and flow. And we just got to consistently educate ourselves. And we don't know, put ourselves around people who do.
Mm-hmm. All right. What role does Creative Passport play in this?
So Creative Passport is my passion. It's my e-learning platform that I want to offer to the world through the brand, because, you know, just back and forth throughout the years, I've been an entertainment attorney for almost 13 years now. So it's one thing I've seen is, no matter where I go in the globe, they're the same questions that emerging artists have, specifically the niche I have in music and podcasting. It is, hey, how do I get my content out there? How do I protect it? And how do I monetize it? I'm summarizing a high level of what people go through. So that's a lot of what this is there. Being a springing board for e-education. At this platform, we don't want to hide things from you. We want you to know what a split sheet is. We want you to know the various revenue streams of music publishing. Do you know in music publishing, there's a producer royalty, right? There's a mechanical royalty. There is the synchronization royalty. There's back-end publishing. Like, the average artist doesn't know that. So it's about people taking courses and having resources and having a community. Because I promise you all, you're not the only ones to not know these things, to learn about. And in podcasting, you know, the crux of podcasting, and just podcasting, you all, I'm not talking about other industries that people grow into. Do people know how you make money? The average person doesn't. You do, LeTroy, so don't cheat. I'm about to say it. You know the answer. But the answer is ad revenue sales. In podcasting, the way money is made at bare bones, we're not talking about merch. We're talking about just podcasting. The real money is made in what's called a minimum guarantee. If a network or a company signs you and they pay that money up front, and then in ad revenue sales, how many eyeballs, ad companies that can get to put their spot and buy and purchase time on there. It's the new age terrestrial radio. So I tell people, learning what the crux of how you make money in your respective industry is a game changer. And that's what I want people to learn at Creative Passport. Know how to protect yourself, know how to leave an impact, and know how to grow your brand.
Okay. All right. So in the beginning of this interview, you just talked about how you as a kid dancing to, you know, African music and Afro beats, and you frequently travel to Nigeria.
Yes.
Do you have a home there? You have a
I
home
do.
there? So yeah, so not only do you represent clients here in the US, you represent clients over there. Just talk about why it's so important to transfer your skills back home, and the challenges that are posed with that.
Yes, it's an excellent question, because it has been my life for a few years. So it is, first of all, again, everything goes back to me with the duality of cultures. Because of my cultures, now I have a duality of like lifestyle. Like, I live in 2 different countries. I spend about 4 months out of the year in Nigeria, in the continent of Africa, or, you know, this year was almost 5 months abroad in some aspects, right, outside of America. And that can get tricky. So I tell people, I at times I could be very tired, but I'm more fulfilled in my life than I've ever been. So it's taking those skills, because, LeTroy, if I don't, who will? Not just me personally. It's me talking about first gen. Like, if I as a Nigerian born in diaspora do not come back in some capacity, I've had some of my fellow Nigerians live in America, fully pack their bags and move back. Everybody do what works for you. I spend about half and half in each place. But you take those skills. I've been blessed to be in the midst of rooms, negotiate deals at a high level, advocate for people, learn some information and potential secrets, and this information I can share, I want to take it back to my people, because you always need somebody in the room who's going to run back and take it back home to equip everybody to go to the next level, because it's not cool, it's not fun if it's just you. It's about helping other people rise and go to the next level. So with me and Nigeria and the continent of Africa, it's not for lack of talent, because you see how talented people are in whatever industry they're doing. It's for lack of opportunities. So that's there now, as we have labels and different things there. It's about them knowing and being equipped on what the best options are for them. So I've talked with artists through deals, whether they, it's ultimately their decision, signing with labels or a respective platform or network or distributor, just knowing that they have rights and they have a choice, because sometimes artists feel like they're cornered. Like, I have to take this choice. And let's be real, LeTroy, people need money. Right? So let's stop with the phoniness. Like, let's brass tacks. People need money to survive, and they want to make a livelihood and stop hustling and working 2 jobs and then making music. They want music, or they want to be a full-time podcaster or content creator. Structuring the right deal is very important, you all, because just entering another deal and it's not the right one for you, it can cost you more time and money than you ever anticipated. So getting the right team members in place, manager, lawyer, when you get to that point, if you need an agent, having people to bounce ideas off, so you're not just taking the first idea. That's what brought me back home to Nigeria, to properly let people know, hey, do what works for you, but let me make sure you're informed about what you're signing up for.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like the infrastructure is in place to where Africa, or Nigeria specifically, is like the next boom, like beyond Afrobeats, just like across the board when it comes to entertainment?
Oh yeah. Anybody that reads, I don't want to misquote, but it's an article I read. I wish I could place it, but anybody, you can Google this information, but it is within the next 25 years, the continent of Africa is going to have the highest rate of young adults in the globe, right? So we're talking about 25 or younger. Look it up. It's there. And I'm challenging the audience to look it up. So to answer your question, it's not going anywhere. It will behoove everybody, but come with pure intent and interest, you all. That's my only request, because I've been spending a lot of time in the market, and the continent of Africa is a place where people always come to take and extract. Be one of the people to come and build infrastructure. So back to your point, that's why it's taken me, my long game has been insane, because I've taken 9 and 10 years to build trust with people. I've done everything from start, help co-found a music publishing company that we intentionally based in Nigeria. It could have been here in Georgia, but it was in Nigeria. So you sign artists and helping them get placements. That's how you bring economic growth and stability to a place. So I'll challenge anybody going to any of the 54 African countries, figure out ways how you can help the local talent make money. It's the way to do it, because it's not going anywhere.
I love it. Yeah. As someone who sat in those rooms, with these cultural innovators and thought leaders, how do you think culture and heritage influence the way entertainment law is practiced?
Oh, I love that. I think it makes you, well, I can speak from personal experience. I think it makes me agile and nimble, because I can counter it with me being in other places in the world. And one thing, travel's my happy place, LeTroy. At this point in my life, I have been to 43 countries. So it allows me, and with that being said, I've been put out of my comfort zone consistently. So when I go into deals, I bring that theory there. I know how to be nimble. I have a global perspective of ideas. I've been exposed to different terms. I've been exposed to places where I have to figure things out. So I take those same transferable skill sets and bring it to negotiating deals, to bring it to the entertainment industry, because you just got to be an innovator in anything you do in life, but specifically the entertainment industry, to be relevant. Wouldn't you say that's true? The people that don't reinvent themselves in an authentic and dynamic way, there's no longevity. Think about the people that have operated at a high level in anywhere in entertainment. They have been able to ebb and flow very well. Oprah Winfrey, correct? Right? Like she had for 25 years, she had her show, but then she had a network. And she's one of the greatest, as people say, media personalities in the world. But she's been able to ebb and flow, things like that. So always being an innovator in whatever space you're in and staying ahead of things. That's one thing. I can't take the credit. I give God the glory for that. He has made me somebody who's been able to see when somebody's special. I get a feeling. Sometimes I can't always put into words. I either keep thinking about the thing or person, or I can't shake it. It's something that resonates with me that I know, like, hey, I need to go on this journey with them. And like I said, it can and will take you to places you never imagined, because openness takes people to places they never imagined. So I challenge everybody to be open to new things.
Right. So who was the last person to give you that feeling?
Ooh, look at you being a great interview. I would say you making me out some of my people. So please let me give a disclaimer. Anybody I've talked to recently, you all are amazing, and I appreciate you, and you're amazing human beings. But I would tell you the last person that I had, I've known him for a while, but we started working together recently. That he just has that fire. But he became a client of the firm. Is David Shands. I work with David Shands as well. So he's phenomenal. As anybody knows, when he started out, again, you all keep on mentioning podcasting, but he's an amazing entrepreneur. He's in real estate. He's in a lot of things. So I know I'd seen him from afar for a couple of years, and he works very closely with Earn Your Leisure. And so, of course, I'd met him here and there, but we never got time to really sit and build until the last sort of year and a half. And I like the way he moves. He's an innovator. The stuff I mentioned, his work ethic is crazy. He's consistent. Like, he will tell you a story. He started out working at the Cheesecake Factory, you all, to turn that into being a multimillionaire. Like, and it's not all about the money. It's about the hustle, the journey, the blueprint to it. So he's the last one. And then you don't get what you don't ask for. And we were in each other's ecosystem, but I told him, true story, and I'm sure y'all will meet each other one day. I was like, I came up to him, I was like, we need to be working together. Like, I was just very brass tacks about it. I was like, because you are really dope, and I feel like we understand each other and get it going, and you don't get what you don't ask for. And from there, I'm not playing. Like, we started working together. Like, you don't, and people just have to be bold and ask for what you want, because we had known each other. But again, my long game is serious, LeTroy. Like, I'm able to sit and wait and not because so many people are transactional, specifically in our spaces. Right. Like this, I sat back for a couple of years and like, yo, he's dope. And that's usually and I don't sit back for a couple of years for everybody, but like, you get that feeling instantly, and sometimes you just got to wait for the right time to say it and add value. People will always make sure they will work with you to add value. So that's what the last, right. I love that question. He's the most recent person, and that I'm like, hey, we need to be working together. And we are.
All right. So like I see something behind you on the back of, on the back wall. Dream big, work hard.
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
It is what I'm saying. Even that dream that feels and sounds ridiculous, go for that thing. So I was able to speak at Invest Fest the last couple of years. My clients so graciously have given me a platform, Earn Your Leisure, with just being on the podcast and speaking there. And that's what I mean. Again, another thing, you all, a part of that dreaming big and working hard is aligning with people who want you to be happy and want you to grow. And that's what I say of those guys. They really, really, really want me. Yes, I'm their lawyer, but they're not trying to keep me in the background. It's like, hey, there's a speaking engagement, you're there. So that's a part of the dreaming big. One thing I love to do is I love to educate and empower. So you don't get those things you don't ask for. Once they learn that, they're like, bet, we have a platform for you to do that. And I've been a speaker at Invest Fest for the last couple of years. So that's what dreaming big and working hard is about. It's dreaming big, put your head down, try to be the best at what you do, but also lift your head up to vocalize when you can add value and let people know it, and they'll figure out how to fit you in.
Okay. What do you find most rewarding about the work that you do?
I find that the people that I get to work with bless a lot of people, and that is so amazing to see. Consistently, I draw energy from that. So.
Okay. Yeah. What do you see when you look in a mirror?
Ooh, you are okay. Interviewer of the year. I see. I told you I like to bring humor to things. That's the funny part. I'm a lawyer. Some people think I'm all serious. I'm like, but I see grit. I see tenacity. I see humanity. I think one of my traits that God gave me is I can feel humans. I'm an empath. That's one reason I became a lawyer, and I see somebody who wants to get things to the finish line.
Okay. What's something about you that people would find most surprising?
I think one thing I just said, that you shouldn't call your own self funny, but I have more of a personality than people think. That's the best way to say it. I think people think, depending on how they meet me, if you meet me in work mode, I'm nice, but I'm very like, hey, we got to get this done because you got to keep structure and order. But you even see how we met for the first time. We were chatting it up, talking, fellow friend got married. I think people don't know I'm as laid back as they think.
Dope. Do you learn more from your wins or your losses?
Losses, instantly. See, I answered that instantly. Losses. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. So as we prepare to wind down, what's next for you?
Ooh, me, it is a few things. It is continue to travel, but I've always wanted to be a global speaker. And I've started to do that, and I'm grateful after a few years. Like a couple people asked me in different markets. Like I've been to Saudi Arabia to speak. I've been, Nigeria and different places, but doing more of that because I want to champion educating our creatives in whatever markets doing that. So I have a bit of a niche in emerging markets, but really honing down and focusing on that and aligning with brands and artists and creatives to like figure out a way how we could all make money and leave impact and not sort of pit these people against each other. So it's like, yeah, just doing that more. That's the premise of Creative Passport, educating people, creating more of a community, and just leveraging that. And then, you get the special ones that may come out of there that it's an incubator that could come on the legal side and are ready to get these 6, 7, 8-figure deals. That's the eventual goal for people I work with and what I'm doing.
Cool. Feel free to plug where we can find you, how we can, receive those services to continue to grow our brands, the whole nine.
Yes, please check me out. If you're looking for me on social media, it's at Amy O Said So, and that's AMYOSAIDSO. And then also LinkedIn is Amy Oraefo, Amy, and that's AMY, last name ORAEFO. And then my website is www.aopclawfirm.com. That's for the creatives who are like, I'm ready to get in the game. You have a deal. You have an opportunity in front of you. I like to tell people I would love to lawyer folks, but give me something to lawyer so I can protect you. And that comes in the form of you created some buzz, a company's there, and now we have something to protect, some assets, some interests, some intellectual property, something a brand wants from you. Let's go protect that, help you leave an impact and make more money and do that 100 times over.
Okay. All right. So, Amy, leave us with a parting shot. Like, some pearls of wisdom.
I would say, I said it earlier, but we always say don't cheat consistency, but I think I want to land deeper because that might feel surface to people.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace failure. That just came to my spirit. Embrace failure. Because I love that you asked me that question. Some of my greatest lessons have come in failing. And failure, you all can look like if you want to work with a particular client or you want to align and get a certain job and you don't get it, don't go and sulk. Go and reflect. It may be God protecting you for something or saying, hey, I'm not saying a blessing delayed is not denied, is what my parents will always say to us, my siblings when I were younger. So go regroup because God's preparing you for something better. But do not despise failures. Learn from it and have some discipline about things. And I promise you, it will be at your fingertips soon enough. I've seen it and done things long enough and failed enough for 2 lifetimes to know that what you learn in your failure makes you a superstar in your success.
All right. Amy Oraefo. Wow. This was fun.
Thank you.
This was a lot of fun.
This was a lot of fun. It's all in the interview or setting the atmosphere for us. Like I always love these. It felt like a conversation, and that's what it's supposed to feel like. So thank you for your platform and for having me on.
Oh yeah, exactly. Definitely find her, like she said, Amy O Said So on Instagram, creativepassport.co, the website.
Thank you for plugging my website. I'm sorry I forgot to say that. Thank you, LeTroy.
Yeah. And continue doing the good work. Like you said, most people when they leave Africa, they don't look back. And you're going back and you're truly making a difference. And it's commendable. Like
thank you so
God
much.
Bless you.
God bless you. Thank you. Thank you for those kind words. And God bless you for your platform. And we need more people doing what you're doing and keep on doing it at a high level. I'm proud of you.
All right. Thank you. And for Stop, Look, and Listen, I'm your host, LeTroy Gardner. See you next week. Peace and blessings.